talking to me? You talking to me?
And there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Hello?
What an idiot!
Well, what do you expect? I'm the movie moron.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Don't call me stupid.
Oh, right! To call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people! I've known sheep that could outwit you.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
No, none taken.
That is right. None taken. I am the movie moron himself, and this is the Movie Moron podcast. I am your host, Easton Moore, and we did this last week, but no one decided to go watch Firestarter, and no one decided to watch our episode. So I'm going to do it again. If you guys are listening and you guys like the podcast and you guys want to do something to help us out, and you have to spend $0, you just have to spend 12 seconds to go down and write a review on Apple Podcast, or if you're listening on Spotify, just tap 5 stars. I'm the only one that's liked it or reviewed it, rated it on Spotify. So, little help, please. I can't be the only one. So, because that's where I listen to it. I listen to it on Spotify. I don't like listening to my voice that often, so I don't do it too often. But when I do listen back, that's where I listen to it. But nonetheless, please do that to help us out. Just helps us get on the front page whenever somebody searches the movie.
Whoop, whoop.
That helps us come up. So, on to the, introductions.
You don't have a soundbite for yourself?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair.
While you're doing that, I did find where to call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people came from.
Oh, okay.
It's
yeah.
from A Fish Called Wanda.
Yes.
1988.
Yep. Like I said, we wrote that theme song way before, and I found them all, and I couldn't remember exactly where it was. But thank you for figuring that out. But yes, I am the host. Again, I'm announcing I am the host, Easton Moore.
My, here come the fuzz.
Here come the fuzz.
Here come the fuzz from Hot Fuzz.
Here comes the hot
Showed
stepper.
Sammy and Tristan that not too long ago. They both loved
seriously?
it.
You liked it?
They fell asleep, but
I don't remember.
you really liked it, but you
That's
ended up
Edgar
falling
Wright,
asleep.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You told me you really liked it and you were trying to stay awake, but it just we started at, 10:30 or whatever.
Okay, but like,
so.
what is it?
It's about the British cops. The like really good cop gets promoted to this random.
Is it gory?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You liked it's a comedy.
Oh, is it the guy from Mission Impossible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then with me as always, the guy who's singing the 007.
Mission Impossible, my man.
There you go. There's your sound pad. No, I'm just kidding. Trevor Ledra.
What in the name of mighty Hercules is this? How did this get here? Cute B.
That's
Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, in
From
the B movie.
It's true.
And then to the right is my lovely wife and all-time guest, Tristan.
Looks like Daphne wants to scare up a couple of new boyfriends.
What?
It's
Looks
Scooby-Doo.
like yeah.
Ruh-roh, Raggy.
Okay, moving on. The movie of the week is a horror movie, if you decide to call it that or not. Men. Which is a movie directed by...
a man.
You gave me the iPad back, but you had it locked.
Oh, no.
You jerk.
Do you know the password?
Okay. No,
Okay.
It came right up.
Okay, good.
Alex
Garland.
Yeah, Garland.
Yeah.
I almost said Garland.
Whatever.
But yeah, Garland, who also did Ex Machina, and he also did Annihilation.
Which you reviewed on this podcast with Nathan.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful.
It was very beautiful.
It was beautiful, wasn't it?
Both the podcast and the movie.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Nathan.
and Nathan.
Nathan, you're beautiful, man.
Yep, we love you. You don't listen, but we love you anyways.
Rude.
He doesn't watch enough movies to listen to this podcast.
He can listen to the spoiler free.
It's true. He tunes in every once in a while, but only for select movies. But anyways, that doesn't matter. Yeah, that's who directed the movie. This is an A24 film. So yeah, let's just, I guess, get right into general thoughts. Yeah, what'd you guys think about the movie?
I'll go first. To divert from the usual, I really enjoyed it, and I find myself thinking about it often, and I think I'm going to go back and see it again. Overall, I very much liked it. There are some technical. The only reason I have it the rating I do is because there's some technical aspects I thought were not accomplished very well. I mean, they were accomplished as well as they could have been, but I feel like with the budget and the notoriety that A24 has now, I was a little surprised that they couldn't pump out just a little bit more money to, unless they meant for it to be that way, I guess. But there were just some times when I was like, ugh, what is going on with that? And not even necessarily like as story wise, but like,
you mean CGI kind of stuff?
Yeah, technical aspects of it. That was just kind of like, but
I mean, I agree with the part, but I think that it looked really good.
Yeah.
There is some like CGI like gore stuff because it's a horror movie. I thought all of that was actually pretty good.
Yeah. The third act is fantastic.
Okay. Maybe we'll get into exactly the scenes you're talking about.
I'm talking more about the deep fake stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
Cool,
I
great.
totally get what you mean there. Yes.
I'm so confused.
So yeah, we'll get into all of it, and you'll remember because we talked about it after the movie. I do feel like I should say before we get into Tristan's general thoughts, this movie is a horror movie that's very metaphoric in a lot of its meaning. It's
like left up to interpretation, kind of.
But it's very forefront in men are like it's diving into the bad traits of men, and so like that's kind of the horror aspect. I mean, with the name man, you can kind of, but like just so you know, like that's kind of what it's getting into. So I was a little eerie going into it because I was like, okay, is this going to be a leftist movie that's just trying to bash men in general? And I didn't take that away from the movie, but I know some people have. And so like just kind of know that going into it, but it is pretty gory. So if you can't handle gore, there's some really graphic stuff into it.
Real graphic.
And there's also nudity, so beware of that.
Penises this time.
Yeah. Penises and vaginas.
Yes.
Yeah. So but yeah, just be aware of that. But it's a very slow burn horror. So just if you're into slashers or if you're into like Conjuring movies, that's not what this is.
No.
This is very much slow burn, creepy vibe horror, which is my favorite kind, but not everybody. So just want to kind of give you an overview of what the movie is before we 100% review it, because a lot of people haven't seen this yet. So if you're kind of thinking about watching it or not, if that's your cup of tea, go watch it. I suggest if that sounds interesting, don't watch the trailer, because the trailer actually ruins more of the movie than I would have liked.
Really? Interesting.
So just kind of a forewarning there. Sure. So Tristan, what did you think about the movie?
I did not like it. Really at all. It was fine for sometimes. I don't know.
That's fair. Yeah.
It grossed me out, and it's not my kind of scary movie, and it doesn't really explain anything. You kind of have to like figure it out yourself. But then what I think it's trying to tell me, I'm like, that was a really stupid way of telling me that, in my opinion. But yeah.
So I feel like the movie has kind of been divisive because it's super metaphoric in some of its telling of the horror or whatever. But then it force feeds it in some spots. Like it literally just tells you in some scenes. So the people that like the artsy metaphor style of movies are disliking it because it's like, okay, I just got like, you show me this stuff through some like scenery and just the theme and the way the movie's going and some of the characters. But then on the other end, it like just like it does all the stuff and then it just kind of like legitimately just like tells you something to kind of get you there.
Like to confirm it.
Yeah. And then the other side of horror movie fans were like, don't like the metaphoric stuff. Like they want something more like I'm seeing everything on screen. That's what's scary. That's whatever. They don't like it because a majority of the movie is telling you everything through stuff off screen and yeah. And then it's just telling you stuff. So it's like, okay, I think I get it because you told me, but also like I didn't understand everything else that you've been doing to this point. Is that kind of, is that kind of how you felt like that other part where like you're trying to understand all this stuff and then like it tells you so you feel like you understand it, but like you were confused for so long and
no.
Oh,
I think this movie does a really not great job of blurring reality with metaphorical stuff.
Yeah.
Because I remember...
Glad you could get the language better than I could.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because there are several times when like... Because sometimes we see some of the things that happen in this movie, we see happen in similar movies, but it turns out that it was not real, or it was all in this person's head, or it actually happened to them, but it only happened to them and nobody else can really see it. I'm kind of thinking back to X when we went and saw that. Like that was all very realistic, very happening in the moment. And like it was all real to us. This is on the same level of gore to me as X was, but with the exception that like what is happening to her is more metaphorical and we just have to go along with it, but they treat it as reality. And so it kind of exists in its own little niche thing, I think.
Yeah, because throughout multiple parts of the movie, you don't understand if this is like if what's happening to her is real,
right,
or if it's in her head, or if it's some sort of psychedelic, or if literally the whole entire thing is a metaphor for what she's going through in her real life.
Yeah.
And I think the end, like the very, 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 very end, kind of sums up a little bit, but it sums it up in a way that it's not like it tells you, but then it doesn't
explain.
It doesn't explain the fact that okay, yeah, I don't want to get into
why
anything.
did these other things happen before then? Yeah.
Yeah, so like it kind of solidifies, but then it also like leaves so much up to like questioning and confusion because they decided they didn't want to actually wrap it up because they wanted it to be a symbolic kind of movie. And so you can't have everything like you can't have everything legitimately.
You can't have your cake and eat it too, Alex Garland.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm not saying much right now because I'm having a difficult time like
saying stuff without spoilers.
I'm having a difficult time following you guys right now without knowing exactly what you're talking about.
Well, we're kind of just talking broad general anyway, so like it is vague.
But I still don't know. I can't follow very well.
This is kind of hard to talk. Well, I mean, just because there's so many spoiler aspects to this just in the story itself.
And that's why I said I think the trailer gives a lot away because like I don't know, just like I don't know, maybe hard to explain. Just
I think
even the title gives away I think a little too much.
I kind of hate the title actually.
I don't hate it, but I think it gives away a piece. I understand why it was named that.
Right.
I appreciate it, but I also feel like it takes away from a part of it too. So like
yeah. That's fair.
I don't know. It is hard to talk about without spoiling anything because like yeah.
What were you going to say, sis?
I don't remember.
Oh, I did have a question for you. Color is used a lot in this.
Oh, I know. I know what I was gonna say. That I really did like that. I liked the I guess you call it cinematography. I don't really know, but-
artistic direction.
Yeah, like I liked when she was going through the woods and like I liked the
Gorgeous
house
nature
and
shots.
I
Yeah.
liked the tunnel and
Yeah, just
like,
cinematography.
yeah, all of that, all the like angles and the colors and the like different textures and
What
stuff.
did you think about the orange
What are you talking
from the
about?
apartment?
Ooh, I don't get it.
So when they're in the apartment, there's always this really intense black splash of orange. Did you notice that at all?
The flashbacks.
No.
Well, what I found interesting about that was orange from I just looked it up after. Orange, from the cycle, you know how like light blue is supposed to be very calming and things like that. Orange is supposed to be like feelings of positivity and feelings of like rejuvenation and things like that and optimism. So I was a little curious, why they picked orange for those, not without giving too much away.
Yeah.
Why they picked orange for those specific scenes. That being said, like you were saying, Tristan, the nature, like
to be fair, that a lot of that's in the trailer. So.
Oh yeah.
Which is something I'm saying. Like they revealed that kind of stuff in the trailer, which I didn't enjoy.
You started to show me the trailer and you only let me watch like a few seconds of it, and then you're like, I'm not going to show you anything else because they'll give it away.
Yeah.
Nice. Good man. But
I'm a very big advocate of not watching trailers before a movie because I think a lot of times studios will purposely put too much in the trailer because they want to draw people in, and the problem is they're revealing pivotal parts of their story.
Or you get something that you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
Like the trailer makes it out to look a certain way, and then you're like, oh, this isn't the movie that I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Well,
my biggest problem is so if I watch a trailer, I then have that in my mind about what this movie is. And so when I see something that's happening, I'm like, oh, this is directly correlated to what I saw in the trailer. So I'm already pulling from something that's that's happening in the future into this.
Yeah.
And there was a scene specifically that very much upset me because I knew what was going to happen before it happened. And there was like a 5-minute wait before the thing that happened did happen. And I'm just sitting there like, I know that there's more to this scene. And sure enough, that happened. And if I didn't know that was going to happen, I would have been sitting there with like maybe a little bit of eeriness or whatever, but there wouldn't have been an expectation of something happening. But instead, I knew that thing was happening because I showed it in the and I was like, you don't need to do like, I just hate that going into a movie. I'm like, okay, I remember this around this looks similar to the scene that I've seen. I know this thing's going to happen. And then, so it just creates an expectation on the scene that shouldn't have been there in the first place. Cause every time you watch a movie, you shouldn't have any knowledge of what's happening in the future.
Well, and I didn't know this until recently, but the way movie trailers work is there are studios out there that do movie trailers only. So like A24, what probably happened was A24 sends a select amount of footage they have to a trailer production, and then that studio will create a trailer based off the footage that they're given. So like they don't know most of the time that they don't know what anything means, but
and that's why a lot of people or a lot like directors will sometimes say that the trailer gave away too much of the film that than they wanted, and also sometimes the trailer will be misleading because they just get clips and they're just making this to make the most like appealing movie possible, and other times they'll use scenes that aren't even in the movie because they're just sending scenes, and then sometimes those scenes get cut. And
and like Multiverse of Madness, I was waiting for Superior Strength. I know that isn't who he was, but he says things just got out of hand, and I hear that at all in the movie, and I was like, well, that's upsetting. I wanted him to be a bad guy, and then it was just whatever.
And
anyway.
And there's a lot of movies that like people have been like, I like you hinted at this thing that was like really cool, and it just never happened. And I'm like, so why is this in a trailer, not in the movie? And that's a perfect example of why.
Yeah. What I did really enjoy was the combination of in movie, I forget what the word is, in movie audio to soundtrack happening. There's a part. Well, this is in the trailer, but the thing that she does in the tunnel, we hear that a few times throughout the movie, which I think is really cool. And then when she's there's a moment where she screams, and the score, like her scream melds into the score. It matches her, and it becomes a part of the music and a part of the scene rather than, oh, the strings just did this luscious whatever thing and now she's screaming. But it actually melded. I thought that was a very good direction they took with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, I mean, I'm just getting excited talking about it. I really like this.
I think we really need to go into spoilers to really talk about the movie. So the last thing I'm gonna say about the movie is I'm gonna give you a blurb from my letterbox because I feel like it was fairly well said.
I give you my iPad and you don't even. No, I'm kidding.
That's because it's logged into you.
That's fair.
So I said this is one of the most beautiful movies you've probably seen since A24's The Green Knight. But just as jumbled in the plethora of metaphoric storytelling as its unclaimed predecessor. So it's probably just as beautiful. Like The Green Knight's an amazingly beautiful movie, but the problem, I think, in a lot of I've heard other people say the same, is the problem is it's just everything is spoken through metaphors and
well, and when you said earlier that there's you mentioned me and the thing you were talking about earlier, the portion of people that thought it did a good job explaining through metaphor, but then just confirmed it and explained it through words.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. And there's a very specific part we'll get to in spoilers.
And The Green Knight doesn't do that part.
Right.
But I was saying, like,
which is why I like The Green Knight.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, the movie is absolutely beautiful. Like,
Yes,
it's
very,
and,
very
and also the actors and actresses are, I think, outstanding.
Yes,
I
I
think
agree.
they did a
Especially
phenomenal
the
job.
man.
Which, Jeffrey, was absolutely. You see him in the trailer.
Rory Kinnear, is
Yes.
his name.
But then, of course, also and Jesse Buckley, who's they were both like
Really
fun.
good.
Yeah, they were really good. But it just has a problem with, and it could just be a theme of A24 stuff. They're trying to be really ambiguous and like not open ended, but just like and it just doesn't land every time.
That's fair.
This movie was very quiet. There was a lot of silence.
And a lot of really specific sound. Like, I remember thinking when she first pulls up to the house, this is the opening shot, when she first pulls up to the house and she opens and closes the car door, it's like almost shocking how loud that is. That kind of sound. It's I was like, oh, hello.
Yeah, I really appreciate the sound.
Yeah.
I think it got better as the movie progressed.
I would agree.
And not everything got better as the movie progressed, but sound is one thing that did get better. Because this is another thing I wrote in my review. That
you want to just read us your whole review?
No, you just need to go follow me on Easton Moore IV.
Oh, there it is.
That the movie does a good job of like, I'm not actually reading my review, but just reusing and continuing the same things over and over again to create a sense of
false security, maybe.
Yeah, kind of, and just creepiness. Like you hear the same sounds, you see the same people, you see the same themes. Like these same things are just kind of happening every 15 to 20 minutes that just kind of keep you on edge. And it does a good job of having these reoccurring, that's the word I was looking for.
There it is.
Reoccurring things. And it's the sound is what is the baseline of that reoccurring stuff. And then everything else kind of falls in place with that reoccurring sound that makes it creepy, which makes it eerie and haunting, to use their terms. So, and that's the stuff that I liked. But then I think it really becomes a just, I don't know what in the last 15 minutes. It definitely just becomes a throw up of themes and motives and whatever. I am glad that no, sorry, I almost spoiled something there.
Oh,
but yeah, it's really close. So maybe that's the indicator that we should go
Move
over
on to spoilers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
move on to spoilers. Unless you guys got any last thoughts.
I don't think so.
Okay, so I guess recommendations, and then we'll go to spoilers. Do you recommend Men?
I actually, yes, I do. I recommend it.
Yeah, Tristan?
No.
Yeah. I think for most people, no. I think this is a very niche kind of group that would like this. But if it sounds good from what you've been hearing from us, I think you should go to the theaters to watch it.
If you can
However,
translate what we've been saying for
Yeah.
the past however long.
I think if you're interested now, go see it in theaters.
yes, because the sound, the visuals are amazing on the big screen.
Like literally, I was wearing a leather jacket and I did not want to move a single muscle because it was so quiet.
I hate having to do the stinking, like,
I know.
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
We got there.
My butt
literally,
accidentally touched it once and moved, and I didn't want to move it back because we're in a quiet scene. I'm like, I'm sitting up now and I don't like it.
right? Yeah.
So yeah, if you are interested, I do think it's a theater movie. But if this is not a movie to go outside your comfort zone and go watch.
You also need to be very comfortable with some pretty intense gore.
Yeah.
To sit through it.
I close my eyes a lot
Yeah.
because I'm not.
But so like if you made it through like the Scream remake or X, I think you'll be okay. But yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
Not bad in a good way. It was a lot. That's what.
Yes, it was just a lot.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just you could probably just miss this. If none of this sounds entertaining to you, this is a very easy, just go ahead and skip. This is not a must-see horror movie.
Right.
There are.
It's very. I almost don't want to call it a horror movie because it doesn't feel like it.
I was extremely creeped out and on the edge of my seat the whole entire movie.
Same.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Which I have read. I went through and read a lot of Letterboxd reviews, and if hold on just a second. If Ben Sky, I won't say the rest of your name, on Letterboxd ever listens to the podcast, he very much disagreed. He was very much on your side of he was not scared, creeped out, didn't feel like a horror movie.
Yeah, I mean, there were like
the whole movie.
There were points that I did, but it wasn't consistent, and I was just kind of like, this doesn't feel like what I was expecting to feel like.
Did he comment on your letterbox?
Yeah.
Maybe now I need to comment on your letterbox.
So
I'll go pick a fight.
But like I totally like a lot of people are thinking the same thing as you, that it does not feel like a horror movie. But I was just at the very beginning of the movie, I was in a weird state. I was in a hypercritical state at the very beginning of the movie, and I didn't like it because I was literally just thinking of the movie, and I'm like, okay, this is dragging out. This is why is this scene in this exact moment? Like they are spending way too much time at this spot. And then eventually I was able to get out of that, and I was happy because they're like Doctor Strange. I don't think I really ever got out of that mindset, but I think the movie was just, we already reviewed it, that it was why I could never get out of it.
I actually was kind of similar. I remember at somewhere in maybe the 45-minute mark or something like that, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And like, I don't know how on board I am, but
once we got past the forest, I was kind of, I kind of gotten out of it.
I think once you went to the church and we started seeing some of the extra town stuff, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that was a very long recommendations, but I think there's some good more content for you. So, yeah, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to go to the spoiler part of the review. All right, and we are back.
We're back.
after that short little break. This is the one time you could have just gone crazy where it's a horror movie. Never mind. Sorry.
I liked it.
Head shake from Tristan. Not the time to go crazy.
I think I'm. Hello.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I think I'm gonna start doing like just different voices
every time.
Because last time I was like we're back, and this one was like late night DJ, and we're back.
Yeah. Or late night radio.
Welcome to late night. Gosh dang it. The Movie Moron podcast.
No, you soiled it. It's over.
Soiled it.
Okay. So, yeah, spoilers. If you made it past that 30 seconds, we're going to talk about spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, we've already told you if you should watch it or not. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. Do you guys want to know how many people were in this movie? You want to take a random guess?
3, 4?
No, so it was the main girl, the man, police girl, and then friend on the phone, who may or may not have been real until the very end when we find out she is in fact real. So 4?
You also have the husband that kills himself.
Right, husband.
And then you have the body of young George or Jeffrey.
Oh, he gets credited as the body? Oh, that's funny.
It doesn't say George body. His name is Samuel, I think.
Yeah,
but
that's funny though.
At least I assume that's who that is, because
That's the deep fake, man.
it doesn't
That's the
have
one
a
that freaked me out
it
the
doesn't
most.
have a face on the letterbox. It just says Samuel, and I can't think of anybody else.
I think that is him.
Oh yeah, because he says his name.
Says Samuel.
Yeah. But I looked at the letterbox after to see the whole movie. I was like, everybody looks like Jeffrey. Like
Plot twist. Everybody is.
Yeah. And so I was thinking the whole movie, like, I'm going to look at Letterboxd and I'm going to see if, in fact, they all are.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even have to because it kind of confirms it just with the plot.
I liked Jeffrey, though.
That's what kind of pissed me off.
Yeah.
I actually would have enjoyed this much more if Jeffrey was, like, a good, innocent guy.
Not part of it.
Yeah. He was just an innocent... Another thing I said in my review. An innocent bystander. Like, if you just would have been... Like, he didn't know that these other versions of himself were these fucked up alien, demon, whatever. I don't know really what they are.
Yeah.
Like, that's one thing that doesn't ever explain that I don't like that aspect.
How the world works.
Yeah. Like, it was kind of it kind of leads you to believe it's some sort of like cult.
Yeah, or supernatural kind of thing happening. Yeah.
Like some sort of devil worshipping or even, maybe in this world it's a god worshipping, like it's something.
Well, and that altar is very significant. We see that, which I think it was more of a dichotomy thing with like, because I took it as like the man's face, which I assumed was a man, is like a sun kind of thing, and it's angry, but then the backside of it is a woman who is calm, and so I thought it was just
that woman was not calm.
Well,
she was spreading her vagina lips open.
What?
Are you kidding me? You did not
I guess
get
I was
that.
just focusing on the face then.
It literally showed a woman with tits and her legs up.
I remember the titties.
With her fingers down towards her vagina, spreading them open to see the clit in her open vagina.
So it was foreshadowing.
Yes.
What is that?
Very
what
much
was
so.
that?
The altar
in the church.
Because you see that front part of it. That's like this. It's very heavy Green Knight vibes, which is something I didn't like. The fact that they pretty much have the same exact stone face.
Right.
Like
yeah.
it
and
just,
the leafy guy at the
yeah,
end was
exactly.
too.
And then on the back side of that, and you even gave a grimace look at it, so I think you realized that it was a woman's vagina.
I was trying to figure it out. I didn't know for sure.
Yeah.
That's the part where she's screaming though, that we mentioned in the non-spoiler.
I actually don't remember us talking about that.
Oh, the music.
Yeah, but there was also just the screaming of some child or something in the woods, which wasn't her. That was something else that never really gets, unless it's Samuel or something.
I thought it might have been naked Jeffrey.
But it was not a man screaming.
That's fair.
So
yeah,
it was a child.
Right.
Maybe it was them playing hide and seek.
I guess we also never really figure out who's in the bridge either, who's chasing her. Because
that's definitely naked.
I think it was
it's
the
one of
naked
them.
guy.
It's definitely the naked guy.
But he has clothes on in the bridge. You can see his like trench coat or his like his jacket.
Maybe that's when he took it off.
Maybe. That's a good point. Naked Jeffrey, took a lot of time for me to kind of figure out what was going on, but I think it's change is what I think he represents. I think he represents like, because that's what led me down that whole like, because we talked a little bit before this. The way I interpret all those men is that they're all different versions of trauma she has to deal with like her specific situation. So like Reverend Jeffrey is like sexual.
The church.
And like
It talks about the
sexual-
church with her before.
Right. But and then you kind of see it later, but it's like sexual desire,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
That fucking discussion between them two was rough.
Yeah, for real. When they're sitting on the bench outside.
No, at the very end.
In the end, yeah. Yeah.
That was just like that was good horror, bad theme, because like
That's fair.
it was really like
I'm glad she stabs him though.
In her shoes, having that man or that thing or whatever, talking about like spreading her open, all that kind of stuff is horrifying, especially if you're a woman, I'm sure. Like, but for the movie, I didn't see the significance of how that helped the movie at all.
And that's kind of, like I said, with that, that's kind of what my brain defaulted it to, was like, this is maybe a discussion they've had, but.
Are you revving up for something?
No. So that's what I took him as. And then Jeffrey is like the good parts of her relationship. And then Samuel, which I think it's funny that we know his name, is like, there's some more stuff with him with the crow. Maybe we can talk about later. But, and then that's kind of what led me to like the whole, the naked Jeffrey is like the change and stuff, if that makes sense.
Were the bar people also
Jeffrey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't really look like it at all.
The guy that was like, he was playing with the coaster on the
Mohawk
edge.
Jeffrey.
I didn't know he had a mohawk, but
kind of looked like a mullet, but nonetheless,
like
yeah.
He
had like a
definitely
cut on
was.
his face. Whatever.
Yeah, because he attacks her at the end, right? He's in the
sprints
yard.
he sprints at the door.
That's what it is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job of making Jeffrey not look like Jeffrey in all these different versions of Jeffrey.
The adult ones.
Because yeah. Because every time I was always second guessing myself, because I'm like, does every English bloke just look the same? Am I just being racist?
Oh, mate, do all these blokes look the same here?
I was like, am I being racist against white people right now? That they all look the same? But no, they all just are the same person. So that's literally what was going on in my head. I'm like, I'm fighting myself the whole time.
I think that was good on the movie's part because because you're confused along with her, like because she looks at the guy that's playing with the coaster when she walks in the bar, kind of like, do I know you?
And she does the same thing with the cop.
Yeah. But that makes more sense because the cops came earlier.
Yeah.
I do like, because that's the first time you see a second man, and you only see him for a second because she's talking to the policewoman and he turns his face to look at her, and you're like, oh, is that Jeffrey?
Okay. I actually first thought of it with the naked man.
Oh, yeah.
I saw the naked man and I'm like, he kind of looks like Jeffrey. But then once you saw CGI deepfake Jeffrey, it was like,
because that is, it's not rough, but it just
When I first saw him, when he first took off the mask, I was like, what is up with his face?
Yeah.
And then I realized what they were trying to do.
Yeah. And it's not bad deepfake. It's just obvious.
Very uncomfortable.
You just know. It's very
Shrek.
Uncanny Valley.
Yes. Yeah.
If you know that term, it's just something that it looks so real, but like something just feels off.
Like Polar Express is Uncanny Valley.
Yeah. It's something it's meant to look as realistic as possible, but it's not real. So there's something that just feels slightly off about it.
Provokes an uncomfortable feeling.
Yes.
Typically.
Yeah, that's the right terminology at the very end. It provokes an uncomfortable because you know that something's not real about it. And so it gave me very much that vibe. But that's when I was like, okay, I was correct about the naked guy. And I honestly wasn't even 100% sure about the preacher.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I was really going back and forth.
He looks real clean.
Yes.
Yeah, it's strange.
I was really going back and forth. And our normal Jeffrey is like such a overweight, like
yeah, he's just a
old face guy.
Yeah.
Like he looks like a 47-year-old, middle just has a rental property. Like he just like fits that so well.
He's just trying to run an Airbnb, man.
And I really liked his I really liked him in a lot of his stuff at the very beginning. Like his little jokes is just like not really understanding social cues all that well, but like trying his best. Like I thought all that was really well, which is why I was rooting for him not to be
right. Well, and then you kind of get that, not redemption, but like you get toward the end and he's like, it's just me. Like, let's go check it out. Oh, all clear. And then there's that line about him where he's like, my dad always said I'd be a great failed military leader or something like that. He's just a good guy.
I don't know if it really tells us this or not, but they are different though, right?
Which one?
All of them.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, they all have.
Like I said, that's why I think that they're all different parts of her trauma or whatever you want to call her parts that she's not addressing. But yeah they are different.
Tristan was given a face and I didn't have it on her because switching is hard. But I oh shit, what were we?
They all act different.
Because he said he thinks they're all different parts of her trauma.
Yeah. I don't know if it's that or not. I think the trauma part's a little bit I mean that definitely would be on brand for A24. But I just feel like there's so much that's not telling us, and I think it's definitely a detriment to the movie. Like a movie like It Follows, where there's a singular thing that like you don't know what it is, you don't need to know what it is, but you know its purpose.
Yes, and
you know why it does what it does, and all of that being explained. That's where it's fine not to know what it is.
Well, the rules of that world are very laid out.
And this is the exact opposite. Everything is confusion. Like our character doesn't know. We don't know. It doesn't know. Like,
yeah.
And I think that's a detriment to the movie for sure. As a whole, I still was very... Like, this is a horror movie. And I was, like, I guess we already said, Tristan doesn't feel the same way. And a lot of people don't feel the same way. But, like, I did feel creeped out and scared for our main character a majority of the movie.
Yeah.
And so it did its purpose to a point, but then it feels like it's supposed to have this deeper purpose. And I think it kind of failed on half of the aspects. Some of it did a good job. We talked about it a little bit. I think this movie does a good job showing the gaslighting of men. I think that was kind of a theme.
That was like the one thing that I got.
I think that's a theme that they had, that they wanted to show that men can sometimes gaslight women into feeling a particular way and doing things that they don't necessarily want to do because they're like forcing them into circumstances with emotional manipulation. And some of it was pretty like heavy hand, like force feeding it to you, and other times were a little bit more subtle. And I like the subtle over like our main, like the divorce, I'm gonna kill myself. Like that felt a little out of, even though we don't give them too long, it felt kind of out of character and way too strong. It could have been much more subtle, but you got something. Tristan does.
Think when I like first recognized the gaslight stuff, I took it as not so much like, oh, men are awful and they do this, but I took it as like good for her. She's not like second guessing herself. Like she's staying true to like what she knows.
For sure.
Yeah, like she finally, like she goes through with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like she doesn't let him sway how she is responding to things.
Yeah. That's fair.
You had something. You had something before. Unless you forgot it. That's okay.
No, I didn't forget. I honestly debating on where to say it, actually. Like, we're talking about the gaslighting with he says the line, it's actually in my review.
Yeah.
The quote, I'll kill myself, then you'll have to live with that on your conscience.
Yeah.
Is that the gaslighting we're talking
Oh,
about?
that's the heavy-handed one.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the one that's like legitimately like shoving down your throat,
Right.
gaslighting. But there's also a few other instances that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But
Well,
obviously the
even
preacher
in
is
the
one.
park, yeah, with
The preacher's one, and
wasn't
there's
park,
another
but-
one that I can't quite get my hand on.
The guy gets they let naked Jeffrey go.
Yeah.
And she's like, he's stalking me, and they're like, well, what, you saw him twice? Like,
Yeah, there's even another one I can't remember. So like that's four. The one I can't name.
Yeah.
Is maybe fourth, but yeah, three right there.
Well, it happens at the very end too.
Oh yeah, with the that's still the same line of what Trevor was talking about.
when he says, "What could I have done?" or "What, like, do you love me?" or something like that.
It was just like you watched this on Thursday, so
Yeah.
it's been a couple days for you. But he was just like,
"Oh yeah, you guys just watched this. I forgot."
Yeah, he was just like, she asks, "What can I do to get you like
Yeah.
to be
I
okay?"
wrote it down.
Oh, great.
Yeah, she asked like, what could I do?
Yeah.
And he said, you could love, like, I just want you to love
I just
me.
want your love. Yeah. Or something.
And like, that's that is the same form of like,
Yeah.
if she doesn't love you, she can't give you something she can't give you. Like that's,
Yeah.
and you can't just hold over suicide over this person's head. Tristan's got something profound. Go.
It's not profound
Okay.
at all. But
She
when
didn't-
we were in the car, and I didn't want to tell you what I was
that's what I was about
thinking.
to say.
It was that scene where the births and then it's her husband. So when he shows up, I immediately thought of Shrek the Musical when she says, "Looks can be deceiving, but feelings cannot lie. Do I love him?"
Shrek. It all goes back to
And I
Shrek.
thought, and it made me happy in a movie I was not enjoying. And then she says, "What do you want from me?" And he says, "For you to love me." And that reminded me of old Craig. Do you think you could ever
love me?
learn to love me?
You can learn to love me.
That's all.
Yeah.
I think I'm funnier than I am.
I thought that
No,
was funny.
no,
I
that
thought
was
great.
The old Greg, old reference pulled out.
That's right.
Good.
Early 2000s. Early 2000s YouTube. Prime YouTube, if you ask me.
That's just OG YouTube.
That's right. Back when the slogan was "Broadcast Yourself," and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Okay, so the friend that she talks to on FaceTime.
Riley.
Yes. So I had a moment. We were talking about metaphor versus realism. She texts her and says, "Just message me," and she sends her the location, and then it's Samuel responds, and he says, "I know you where you are," and then the crow flies through the window. Later, we see Samuel after she cuts the hand of, which was sick, and I was like, I hated every second of that. It was good, but yeah, right.
I liked it.
Oh,
I don't like the gore of it, but I like the
it was unique for sure.
Yeah,
and I like it's showing that whatever this thing is, like this person, is not a person.
Right.
Yeah.
You know at that moment that they are not, and then it legitimately just like
yes,
you just know afterwards. But like that was the first semblance of like
yes,
Jeffrey or whatever is not human.
yes. So then later we see Samuel has the same mask he had, the woman's mask, the blonde woman's mask from earlier on the crow, and he is playing with it or whatever,
making that noise.
Yeah, and I thought, oh, you said her name's Riley? I was like, oh, Riley is Samuel, and that's the crow. Like that's all. Like Samuel's wearing this mask of the blonde woman, so when she sees him on the thing, she's actually talking to Samuel, not Riley. But then at the end of the movie, Riley actually shows up, and I was like, oh, so Riley is. But then, like I said, like we've talked about before, if you think about it too much, it doesn't make sense. So like, how does he have her phone? How is he able to text her through that message thing? Why did they set that up to be something? Because she says, I'll be there soon, or I'll be there in 3 hours. And then the next thing we see come to the building is the crow. And then we see Samuel with the crow. And so, anyway, that was one of the things where like we were talking about metaphor versus realism. I was like, you pick a lane, my man.
Yeah. Well, that ending in general was hard because you assume at the very end that everything she had went through was kind of a psychological thing that she had gone through.
Except
when she walks up, the car is wrecked. There's blood dragged across. She's got blood on her thing, and so you're like, okay,
there's
so what
blood
happened?
on her neck. Yeah.
What happened actually happened, but also, where's all the evidence of Jeffrey's?
Yeah.
I assumed. So I was thinking. So she cuts his hand. He breaks his foot for a stupid, like slips on his own blood or something for a stupid reason, and then, she stabs him in the side before all the multiple births start happening. The one through the mouth was this. Sorry, we don't need to talk about that. Anyway,
it was all disgusting.
She has the axe when the husband re-arrives. I think that like I said, that's why I think this is a trauma. Like it's her dealing with her trauma. It's because she has to kill it. She has to bury that axe in Jeffrey's
Bury
head.
the hatchet. I get it.
Look at that. I didn't even think about that. See? Yeah. But she had to kill this entity, and that would represent her getting over this whole situation.
But she doesn't even do it.
I think she does.
I know, but like it doesn't even.
It didn't show it, though. Yeah.
Which is pussy shit, but.
Oh, okay. But anyway. So that, yeah, and I think that's why Jeffrey's gone at the end, is because she actually went through with it.
Yeah, maybe, but it still doesn't explain to us what Jeffrey is
and why all the women like there's women in this town because we see a woman police officer.
Yeah.
So like, how does that all work? And yeah,
no, yeah. The biggest problem with the movie is there's no explanation. They expect you to just like accept the weird.
That's a good
Accept the weird.
Men accept the weird.
Yeah. I do have to say, as we're kind of talking about the birthing stuff, is I understand we're in a time where men can have births, but damn, this was not the time to sneeze.
What?
But we're in a culture that men can birth.
Sure. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Like I don't know if this is a commentary, but I think this went a little too far.
Okay.
I did not need force-made vaginas and men's random body parts like their anuses and their backs and their stomachs, a vagina just appearing and then a full man coming out of it.
The whole time I was like, because she has a knife or the hatchet at some point there, right?
Yeah, before the husband comes in.
Yeah. So I was like, just stab it. When it's coming out, stab it in the head. Stop just backing away. Just stab it.
I thought it also made it seem like that's what it wanted. And that kind of made me mad because I was like, okay, so what is it? I don't know. Like I don't know if I understood all the metaphors because there's a lot here.
There's a lot. Yeah.
But the whole entire birthing process, none of that really makes sense to me unless there's some sort of cult churchy thing that I don't know of that's pulling from that, like Hereditary. Sorry if I'm looping this in, but that's another A24 horror movie. That's a little bit slow burn.
I will say this movie is fairly, I mean, in terms of like the way it works, it is kind of similar.
Yeah. But when it comes to like Hereditary is dealing with a very niche, like demon worshipping cult. And that's the story. And like but I think that does a good job of like showing you that in a very small ways. And this tells you kind of something, but like I can't tell what it's pulling from.
Right.
If it's pulling from anything. Like we don't know if it is just random metaphors for her grief and her failed marriage and being the reason why her ex-husband killed himself in such a brutal way, in which we don't even know is a suicide or not. And like, which is a big part of this, which I do like that because the trailer showed it that it looked like it was just a suicide.
Right.
And I like that this, well, actually, I thought that the things that were stalking her in this weird place were the same things that maybe pushed him over the edge. But that did not happen. That's another thing of like a trailer leading me in a way.
Wouldn't that have been sick to like show you a flashback of him like hanging on the balcony and it's Jeffrey?
Yeah.
And he like, that would have been crazy.
I thought that's kind of like that I thought this was like a cult movie that wanted her, and they like kind of did a Midsummer thing. Where like they manipulated the world to get this person into the scenario so that they could, I thought they were going to like use her as a birthing for, and then went a completely different direction. And I don't know if what in my head would be better or be worse, because if I'm thinking it before I've watched the movie, then like how cool is it? But also I don't really love the direction that they went in the first place. So, yeah.
I don't want to say I hate this movie, but I hate this movie. And I think a big part of that is that it got over and I had so many questions. And like, I want to know why she was trying to get a divorce in the first place. And I want to know why he is like, because he said something like, I've been this way the past year. It's not who I am. Or he said something like that.
Doesn't he also say something about her boss? Like maybe she had
I
an
don't
affair?
know.
I don't know any of that. I do remember he does say like, if there's something about me that is not like, that's not what you married, tell me and I will change. Like I will be what you married. You just have to tell me what I have to do. Yeah. And like, I think that's part of like the gaslighting thing. Cause it's like you're
not telling me. So,
well, like
sorry,
as a man, you like, or as anybody, you can't just like change who you are. And also you are going to change as you grow up and get older. And so like, but that's also a part of marriage. You're like, okay, we are going to grow, but we're going to grow together and we're going to do these things together.
What?
Oh yeah, I know. Sorry. And so like to say that line is like I understand the gaslighting of that, but like he's trying to say that like, if I like whatever about
you don't know what you're doing wrong until either
somebody tells you. Yeah. And he's like, whatever I am, whatever piece of me that's like you don't love, that's made you not love me, like tell me so I can try to change. And so I don't think she's like this perfect person. And the movie kind of tries to make you feel like
I got that a little bit.
She is, but obviously it is holding some stuff.
And
back.
that's what really
irritated you.
Yeah, I was like, why? If it is about her trauma, which I didn't even think about that in the slightest until you said something, Trevor, but I'm like,
I'm still not convinced, but
that's okay.
But I'm saying if it is, then like, okay, yes, what happened to her is traumatizing, but like what led up to that point matters too. And like, for me, you can't just like throw me into a story and have me believe all of these things that you're showing me without more backstory.
And also, like, the whole entire thing is about her bearing the hatchet of being guilty for the suicide, because not only does she is she divorcing him, and he's saying, if you divorce me, I'm going to kill myself, and you have that on your conscience. And she's like, you can't fucking say that to me. She does it. He says it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But then we see in the moment, she kicks him out of the house, and then he's trying to get back in and is not let in. And then he maybe scales the walls and maybe doesn't, end up falling to his death. And you don't know if it's a suicide or an accidental death because he was just trying to say sorry to her. And so like there's the guilt of like, okay, maybe I killed him not because he was trying to kill himself. That was a lie. I killed him because he was like just trying to talk to me and I kicked him out or whatever.
I was just going to move on. Is that okay?
Oh, I lost where I was.
Well, I remember you. To be fair, like I think that situation is complicated. Her husband just full on hit her in the face enough to draw blood.
Yeah.
And I think her reaction was well justified. Now that being said, like he does want back. It's just a gray situation, man. Like for him to be outside the door and yelling at her to be let back in, and then for Reverend Jeffrey later to be like, well, did you give him a chance to apologize? Like obviously that's something she's thought about, and I think that's more like to the audience to be like, that's what this is.
Oh,
but
where I was going to go with that, I finally remembered.
Great.
Was because we get all of that, the whole situation of the hitting and the kicking out and her having the guilt of whether or not, and we don't know if she's the reason why they're getting a divorce or not. Like we don't know why the breakup is happening.
Yeah,
we don't know if it's because the husband is just being distant or like has changed fundamentally as a person, or if she has like whatever and like found a different person or found different people and is like cheated and like not interested, like what we don't know. And so there could be added guilt onto the character that we are not told as an audience that I don't like. And also this is something that I dislike about some movies in general, and this kind of has a same thing about it. I don't like it when movies use flashbacks for like I don't like it when they hide flashbacks and they put them into a plot, and then the main character is drawing from that like we would.
Same.
Because they already know that information. So that shouldn't be new revelation to them, and they shouldn't be acting like it's the first time they're getting that information. And this movie does that from time to time, and I don't like that.
And
because it's new to us, and that's fine, but it being shown to us should justify the feelings that they're having, not cause the emotions and reactions that they're having. Agreed. And I feel like some movies do, like this movie does it a little bit. It did it a little bit at the beginning, and then it kind of strayed away from it, so I was okay with it. But it had me starting to think about how I don't like that in movies, and this kind of did it with like the church scene stuff. And then after that, it wasn't as bad, but it still was kind of a hint of that. So
yeah, for sure. Murder on the Orient Express does that really bad, also. But
yeah.
I was gonna say I also hate the is it metaphor, is it real life a lot, because then it just created more questions for me in a movie that I already didn't understand.
Yeah.
And I also still don't get why the husband was wrapped up into the Jeffreys, because why do all of the Jeffreys look the same, but then the husband's the only one that looks different?
Well, and actually, that's what we talked about earlier. I said there was a moment where I felt like they felt like they had a hammer at home.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, like I know I sound like a broken record, but like if they are representing the trauma of her and that she needs to not get over, but she needs to deal with the death of her husband and all of this, because that's what I thought that was. I thought that's what all the multiple births meant was. Like, we're not going to leave until you get over this. and then I thought he was just gonna walk in and that was gonna be it, and I was like, okay, that's fine. But then he walks in, he sits down, and he says the whole thing we mentioned earlier, and I'm like, okay, that's like hitting the nail too hard on the head for me, like because the injuries is what gave it away for me, because after he gets the left arm thing figured out, like cut, and then when the foot breaks, I was like, okay, Jeffrey is representing the husband.
That's also just so stupid to me because it was all like none of that was natural. Like the hand cut wasn't natural.
Right.
She decided to hit the hand.
Yeah, but it's creating the husband. It's through Jeffrey.
But that's like some sort of supernatural destiny knowing of the future. Like, okay, all of Jeffrey was created years in advance just for this one moment. So
I
like,
don't know, man. This is just my thoughts.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like the connection to the cutting of the pretty much recreating the suicide / maybe accidental death. I didn't like any of that. So I didn't like the direction they went the last 10 minutes. Really, I think that's bottom line. I didn't like the direction they went because it was kind of up in the air of. You had Jeffrey that was this entity of a bunch of different people, and you decided to create it to be the husband, and it didn't need to go that way. And I don't know what metaphorical thing I'm missing, but maybe the director could tell me real quick, and it would all make sense. But from what I was shown on screen, it felt like a last ditch. Like, I don't know how to really. Maybe I don't know how to close it, but like it could have gone in a way better direction.
Maybe.
And it didn't.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I also got vibes of like that movie, the scary movie where they are all wearing masks, maybe Strangers.
Yeah. No, The Purge.
I was thinking The Purge.
No.
Strangers is Happy Death Day?
No.
Okay. Strangers is one, but we haven't watched it. That's why.
I think I've seen it.
Okay.
Because they're like evil people and they just wear masks,
And
right?
they're in the house, right?
I don't know.
Well, there's a few.
Okay, well, my
Happy
point
Death Day,
is,
Stranger, and The
my
Purge
point
are
is
the
in
big
the movie
ones.
that I'm talking about, whichever one it is.
Yeah.
You might know by how I
Remember it.
describe it. But like they're evil and they're like doing bad things and they don't give a reason in the movie that they're doing that.
It's not Scream, is it?
No.
Oh, that's a good guess.
But anyway, I think it's Strangers, but I could be wrong.
That's fine. It doesn't matter.
Anyway, the whole Jeffrey thing, like, why is that happening to her? Like, why is that not happening to other people who have trauma? Like, why, or whatever it is. Like, if it's not a metaphor, if it's real, whatever, they don't really have a reason that they're going to her to do this, other than has some messed up stuff. But
I think that gets into like this is just the movie.
Yeah.
And like this is just this experience or this
Yeah.
story to tell kind of thing. Not necessarily like the world.
I was kind of thinking the same thing, but also as a movie like I'm not saying I am a movie maker, but as a writer, and you've got to make it make sense in the world. You can't just be like things are happening so that I can have a story happen on screen. Those are what a lot of people consider bad movies because they're unrealistic. And I'm not saying this is a bad movie, but like
I am.
Yeah. I think a lot of people a lot of people agree. And I think that might be why, is because it doesn't make sense in the real, like it just feels like things are happening to this person because things need to happen to this person for there to be a story. And that it's a bad way to make a movie.
There were lots of times in the movie that I was like, I would be gone. I don't know what she's doing.
She said it once.
Still walking around, but I'm like,
that's also the classic, like, we're watching a horror movie and they're living just life. And so the difference of like things happen to you in regular life and you don't just think, oh yeah, I'm going to go ahead and move to a different state because something weird happened.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're watching a movie, like, okay, I know things are going to get worse because I'm watching a horror movie.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I still stand by my statement.
I understand. In this movie specifically, I get what you mean. But that is like a normal horror movie trope.
No,
of people
I know.
looking at it
and I don't
lens.
normally think about that in horror movies, but I thought about that several times in this one.
I guess I was projecting because I hear a lot of people talking about that.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to get into ratings?
Yeah,
Close
man.
it out?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Okay. Trevor, what you got?
Yeah, this is a 4 for me. The reason it's not I kind of want to give it a 5, but I would, if I watched it again, I'd be able to tell you more, or if I hadn't watched it 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah.
I'd be able to get more specifically, but a lot of the technical aspects is what lowered it for me. The deep fake stuff was just a little too off-putting, and didn't feel like it was well. And there were a couple like landscape computer graphic things that I was like, this is not great.
Sure.
But this is a 4 out of 5.
Tristan?
I'm going to say 2.
I was thinking 1 to 1.5.
I would give it lower, but the only reason I'm giving it that high is because of the cinematography and the acting.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. So I think this movie is, I had the exact wording later, but we'll see how it works out. Really, like a really good movie to watch, a bad movie to think about.
Sure.
Yeah.
So because
you just gotta take it for what it is.
When I was watching it, I was super into, like, not into, but like I was super creeped out. Everything around the corner was like, I don't know what's about to happen, and for sure, nothing that I thought was gonna happen happened. I was not expecting 5 men giving birth in a row. So like, I was like the different men coming out of different corners and just her, like, nothing going right for her in this place. And like, I was genuinely creeped out the whole entire movie. And so like, as a horror movie, it did its purpose for the most part. But then when you sit down and you're really thinking about the movie, it's hard to justify what you saw for a lot of it. And so out of the theaters, and in my review on Letterboxd, I gave it a 4, and I think it's probably a 3.5 when you think about it. But if you just sit there and watch it and take it at face value as a horror movie, I think it's decent. But yeah, once you really try to dig into what it's trying to say and how it's I think it does fall apart a little bit, as we've kind of seen as we talk about it. So yeah, before we end, the one thing I was the thing that ruined in the trailer that ruined it is the big haul.
The big haul?
The when she's out in the forest and she finds the thing and she does the echoes and then the man comes up.
Yeah.
It shows that in the trailer.
Yeah.
It shows the man standing up. And so that whole entire scene, I knew somebody was going to pop up, and I knew the man was going to sprint at her, and I knew she was going to run away. So it ruined that whole scene.
Yeah.
Because I knew that wasn't going to. Yeah, I knew that. Like, it was eerie the whole time, but I'm like, okay, well, I know this is going to end with a man popping up and sprinting at her. So I was like,
that's fair.
It takes away from the
suspense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes away from the suspense 100%. Because, because you know what's going to happen.
You're just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah. For me,
still a cool scene, but
I remember I was thinking we got past, actually, I think it was that scene, actually. We got past that, and I remember thinking, okay, I've seen everything that there is, that was in the trailer. I've already seen it. And there's still like an hour or more left to go. And so that was my kind of thought. But yeah, I get that.
Gotcha.
Like having the suspense. Well, like I said with the Doctor Strange thing, I was
the guy sprinting at the door was another one.
I remember that. But
yeah.
Regardless.
No. There were just like, that was just one thing, like a couple things of it. The trailer showing just a little too much. Like, just have the echo or whatever, because it was already an eerie situation. Yeah, like you don't need to have the man pop up and start sprinting. Like just show that scene. Don't show you don't show the end of a scene. Like that gives away that whole entire, like that was literally the end of a 10-minute long segment of the movie. You showed the very end of it.
Yeah.
Not the very end of it, sorry.
Yeah.
Because the man showing up in the picture was was pretty creepy. That was that was a really good thing.
And then he was actually there, which was weird.
Yeah. Oh, you thought it was just going to be on her phone?
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. The phone messing up and showing all the weird faces, I thought
I
was...
dug that a lot, actually.
No, I dug it a lot, but then
it didn't amount to anything.
Yeah. Yeah, which is like another thing that kind of made me mad because I was like, I feel like this could have been a solid like 5 out of 5, one of the best horror movies of all time, and it decided to be weird over good. And
I like the way you said that.
And I don't like that.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, that's all of our... I said 3.5 to 4.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably change my Letterboxd review to 3.5 just because we decided to dissect it 1,000%.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's the end of the review. Next week, you're going to be doing the long-awaited...
Bob's Burgers.
Oh, my God. You really just had to come in and steal it, didn't you?
Sorry.
Now we have to do it. It's written in stone.
We said the same thing about Ambulance, and guess what?
You guys hate me.
No. Next week we're for sure gonna do Top Gun Maverick because it's long awaited.
And we also did the Top Gun episode.
We did the Top Gun episode that got like, I don't know, half of our...
If you're listening to this, go listen to that because that's a fun episode.
It is a fun episode.
I think I listened to it twice. I had so much fun in that episode.
But yeah, we're going to be doing Top Gun Maverick. And so to prep for that movie, go watch Top Gun, listen to our episode, then watch Top Gun Maverick, and then once listen to our episode, just have a solid 7 hours of
Top Gun Day.
Top Gun Day. Ooh. So yeah, and then we might have a bonus episode of Bob's Burgers because Tristan is a heavy Bob's Burgers fanatic. Thanks to yours
Bob's
truly.
Burgers simp.
Can we hear your Linda impression?
I'm not ready.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
maybe
well,
maybe next week.
Yeah, maybe on
I'll practice.
Sexy burger. It was really bad. Now I feel awkward.
Okay, yeah, that's where we're going to end it. And thank you guys for listening. And again, make sure to rate and review. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Don't call me stupid.
Oh, right! To call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people! I've known sheep that could outwit you.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
No, none taken.